Hello, Jeremy Chambers, Independence Acres Homestead here. Now while you're out in your garden pulling weeds that you didn't plant, it's a good idea to keep an eye out for some that you might be able to use in other ways. Today we're going to go over some of the weeds that we're finding in our garden. We may not have planted them, but they're still going to be beneficial here on our homestead. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about doing a little weed and feed in our garden. Now I know that might sound strange, and I'm not talking about the chemical weed and feed like what you'd put on your yard in the spring or the fall, and I don't really recommend you do that anyway, but the weed and feed we're going to be talking about is weeding the things out of our garden that we did not plant, but we're okay with them growing there, and feeding them to our livestock. Specifically, we're going to be feeding every one of these plants that we're pulling today to our rabbits. Now these are also going to be beneficial weeds for any kind of livestock that you raise. Chickens might not eat it quite so much, but anything that is a grazer is going to be appreciative of these edibles that you will pull out of your garden. Before we go too much further, I just want to let you guys know, every one of these weeds that we're going to be talking about today, while they are definitely edible and good for feeding to your livestock, they also can be good and beneficial for humans. Now, I'm not going to say go eat these things, and I'm not going to give you some sort of medicinal use for any of these, although each and every one of them do have certain uses in your home kitchen and your home remedy closet. So I do encourage you to go do a little bit more research on your own for each of these wild edibles, and make sure that you know what you're doing before you consume them yourself or you feed them to others. All right, so the first weed we're going to talk about today is a fairly easily recognizable plant that's found in most regions of the United States. And this is the broadleaf plantain. Let me just put the camera down here so that you can see this particular specimen that we found. Now, these are not the most beautiful specimens because they've been walked on. These are in the paths of our garden, but this is a broadleaf plantain. It is easily recognizable. It is a nice wide, we get in the picture here, get a nice wide leaf. It has very strong veining on the back, very similar in shape and appearance to your typical spinach. The other characteristic that makes it very easily to recognize is its seeding, which is, right here. It's going to look very similar to a foxtail, except it does not have the hairy appendages. Okay, so the next weed that we found in our garden that is very useful for animal foraging is lamb's quarters. Now, this is a weed, once again, that is found in most regions of the United States. Thank you, Josh, for this wonderful sample. All right, characteristic is going to be these sawtooth leaf pattern here on the sides, and this kind of a whitish red look on each of the center new leaves. It looks like it's got a little bit of a furriness to it. Now this one, lamb's quarter, has an interesting history. It actually is cultivated in some areas of the world as a source of nutrition for humans. Word has it that it is more nutritious than most of your garden variety spinaches. Once again, do your own research before you consume any of this yourself. However, it is great for your rabbits. High in protein, high in vitamins and minerals, high in a lot of nutrients that are going to help rabbits and other livestock grow and produce the way that you want them to. So, a very easy to recognize plant, and also very good for your livestock. So we actually have a patch of lamb's quarter right next to our radishes here that we're leaving specifically to be able to harvest it for our rabbits. Now, it is a weed plant in our garden. We do not particularly grow it or plant it, but it is a weed that we choose to leave so that we can harvest it for our rabbits. And the last of the trio of weeds that we are going to be harvesting today to feed to our rabbits is what's known as ladyfinger smartweed. Now, smartweed is once again another plant that's found in most regions of the United States, and this particular variety is easily recognizable by the dark green spot in the middle of its long, skinny broadleaf, and also because of these pink flowers. They can also be darker red or even white. The reason why it's called smartweed is because the leaves, once they reach maturity, have a very peppery, spicy, bitter flavor to them, which some people enjoy. Now, the younger leaves are actually, very pleasant to the taste. Once again, don't take my word for any of this. Do some research to make sure that it is acceptable if you're going to decide to try this yourself. But with the ladyfinger smartweed, very mild flavor on the leaves until they get older, and as the leaves get larger, they become spicy and bitter, and it gets the word smartweed because, well, when you eat it, it kind of smarts a little bit. So that's where it gets its name from. This is another plant that is high in nutrition, great for rabbits and other livestock if you have grazers on your homestead. So when you're weeding your garden, don't just toss away those plants and throw them in your compost or wherever you choose to throw your weeds. Research them a little bit. Find out if there's a use for these plants, because you might be throwing away some very nutritious plants for your livestock. Really hope you found this video beneficial and helpful in your homestead journey. If you did, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any upcoming videos. And also, if you enjoyed it, just click the like button real quick for me. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day, and as always, God bless.